So this is a main share meeting, and today it is great pleasure and much gratitude that we welcome Lynette R. from AKRON, who's come to share for about 40 minutes, after which we're going to open up for general sharing, or if you'd like to ask Lynette a question. Lynette, thank you so much for being here. It is wonderful to have you, and the floor is yours.
My name is Lynette, and I'm a real alcoholic, and I want to thank the group for allowing me to come out and share. And somewhere we got our lines crossed because I was reading Beyond the Horizon on page 125, as Bill sees it. So I'll try to keep to what she read. I don't comprehend like that. My brain don't work like that. I'm gonna tell y'all why. My sobriety date is May 5th, 1999. I haven't found it necessary from that date to this date to pick up any mind-altering substances. That's nights, weekends, holidays, bar mitzvahs, ginger reveals. I do not drink, and I'm not on weed maintenance. And I need to say that because I used to think I could come in here high and tell y'all I'm sober. And today I know for me, I'm talking about for Lynette, I cannot. Also, I got a sponsor, and she don't sponsor me in name only. My sponsor knows she sponsors me. And my sponsor has a working knowledge of the 12 steps. And my sponsor has a sponsor, and she has a working knowledge of the 12 steps. And if you got a sponsor that's not taking you through the 12 steps, get rid of them. And go find a sponsor who has a working knowledge of the 12 steps. And then go get that sponsor you got rid of and take them to the sponsor who has a working knowledge of the 12 steps. An old timer told me long time ago, Lynette, if you want to be a liar, cheating, a thief, lose your job, and continue to have bad behaviors, don't work the steps. But if you want those behaviors that you have that are bad to change, put a step in your life. And in my case, I'm talking about me, y'all, he was telling the truth. I always start off by telling you two stories that happened to me when I was a kid that I believe set off a chain of events in my life. When I was 5 years old, my mother left me and my brother in an abandoned shack in Buffalo, New York, where they measured snow by the feet, and it was the middle of winter. And there was no gas and no lights on in that house. And my brother was going down to the store to steal bologna so he could feed his 5-year-old little sister. And one day he went down to the store, and the man was wondering, why is this kid coming down here stealing this bologna? So he called the police. The police followed my brother back, and they found this little girl on a mattress on the floor, covered in sheets, towels, blankets, curtains, clothes, everything this little boy could find in that house, he had piled on top of his 5-year-old little sister. And the reason why I tell that story like that is because we miracle babies. That's what they called us. And it was a write-up in the paper, and that's what it said in the paper. And in the paper, they had a lampshade that was sitting on the floor, and inside the lampshade was dead rats. That's how cold it was in that house. And I remember feeling abandoned, unwanted, and unloved. As time went on, me and my brother ended up going in and out of foster homes. Second thing happened to me as a child. Me and my cousin decided we were going to go bottle hustling. My grandmother told us before we left the house, don't go in nobody's house. Before I get started, I like to do a disclaimer. If you got a hearing aid on, you might want to adjust the volume, because for some reason, when God presses his mouth up against my ear and that message shoot out, I'm going to get loud. And I don't mean to, but I'm passionate about my recovery. And if you ain't passionate about yours, I'm going to pray for you, because you got something. Money can't buy this, boo. Money can't buy this. Anyway, my grandmother told us don't go in nobody's house. And my grandmother to me was mean. But if you ask other people about my grandmother, they tell you nice stories about her. I cannot. I wanted a grandmother who rocked in a rocking chair and baked me cookies and gave me candy out of her pocket in her muumuu. But that's not the grandma I had. Anyway, me and my cousin set out to go bottle hustling. We got to this man's house. He had a room full of bottles. He told us if we come in this house and clean out this room, he'd give us these bottles. We went in that man's house. We proceeded to clean out the room, and while we were doing that, he sent my cousin to the store. And to make a long story short, that man raped me. I was 9 years old. When my cousin came back from the store, I ran out of his house. I throw her stuff on the porch and run. And we started running. She kept saying, Natty, what's wrong? What's wrong? We got halfway home. I told her what that man did to me. I told her, don't tell grandma. because grandma told us, don't go in nobody's house. We got home, Treva bolted up the steps. She ran in the kitchen where my grandmother was sitting around a round table, drinking Budweiser beer with her friends from out of town. She said, Grandma, some man raped Natty. And my grandmother looked at me and said, ain't nobody raped that ugly bitch. That's just how she said it. From that point on, set off a chain of events. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was too ugly to be loved. I thought that's why my mama didn't want me. That's why my grandmother didn't like me, because I was ugly. And so from that time to the time I made it to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought I was ugly. Set off a chain of events, man. Not a cloud. I mean, now that I look back on that, I wasn't an alcoholic because of my childhood. I'm an alcoholic because I like the effect produced by alcohol. See, before I drank alcohol, my skin was too dark, my hair was short, my butt was flat, and I felt ugly. My auntie was standing in the living room and she was drinking something out of her cup. And I ran up to her and I said, Auntie, can I have a sip of what's in your cup? She was crying and singing a song by Rick James, Fine Desire. I know today she was crying by the man, but I didn't know why she was crying then. Anyway, she handed me that cup. I took a gulp of what was in her cup. It burnt my tongue. It burnt going down my throat. But when it hit the bottom of my belly, I swear it was warm and fuzzy. And when I opened my eyes, my skin had lightened up, my hair grew long, my butt got big, and I could sing like Whitney Houston. And let's be clear, I cannot sing. But when I would put alcohol on my tongue, I thought I sounded like Whitney Houston. I was the kind of alcoholic who was broke. I was the kind of alcoholic who was broken inside. I was the kind of alcoholic who would show up at your door with the microwave trying to sell it to you for $20. I was the kind of alcoholic who would sell you her TV. I was the kind of alcoholic that'll let you in her house and take whatever you want as long as you give me what I need. I was the kind of alcoholic that would come to your house and find stuff in your house. I would steal your wallet and help you look for it. I was a thief. My brother took me to the store when I was a very young little girl, and he told me, you go in there and eat, so when we go home, we won't be hungry. It takes everything in me when I go in the store today to not to eat the grapes. For some reason, I want to eat one. To me, that's stealing, so I don't eat them. Anyway, as time went on, I got this terrifying alcohol habit. I'm an alcoholic, man, and my behavior has changed. When I take a sip of alcohol, I lose my self-respect, my dignity, my morals, my values, my self-esteem, my self-worth, all that go out the window, and I'll do anything to get one more. I was the kind of alcoholic that when they would hand me my check on Friday, on Thursday, I would tell myself, I'm going to get the lights turned back on. My lights is off. They only $15. I'm going to pay the rent. My rent is $65. I'm going to buy some food because I'm tired of eating oodles and noodles. I ate one bag of oodles and noodles for years, a day. I went to bed hungry many a nights because all my money went to the liquor store. And I would tell myself, I'm going to do these things. I have great intentions on Thursday. But when that man would hand me my check on Friday, my hands would get sweaty. I get this anxiety. And I can't wait to clock out so I could get to the liquor store, cash my check, get a fifth of 151, 3 lighters, and 2 packs of Newport 100s. I did that every single pay. I never was able to get those lights turned on. As time went on for me, I met the second love of my life. I graduated. Y'all looking at a little girl who graduated high school reading at a 3rd grade level. Today, they would consider me illiterate. I met the second love of my life. His name was James Black. James Black rode in on his pretty white horse, and he brought me a pair of champion tennis shoes. And back in the day, back in the day, champion tennis shoes was like a pair of Nikes. I put them tennis shoes on, and I hopped on dude's horse, and he took me for a ride. And at the end of that relationship, he was tying me to poles because he was scared that another man would get me while he was at work. Today, I know that was domestic violence. Back then, I thought it was because he loved me. And because I had been abandoned, I didn't want to be alone, and I wouldn't leave him. Anyway, he tied me to a pole one day, and I banged and I screamed and I banged and I screamed, and somebody heard me. They called the fire department. They kicked the door in and they got me off the pole. I called my mother. I said, if you don't get me a ticket home, he's going to kill me. She told me, I ain't tell you to take your black A down there. You get up here the best way you know how. I did what my mama said. I was all the way in Texas, Orange, Texas. I got back to Ohio. I had a friend who was staying in Akron. She said, come stay with me. I'll help you get on your feet. I got up here to Akron and went over to this girl's house. She had this cute little dog, this little picket fence, these 4 kids and a husband. When I got done with them, the fence was knocked down, the dog ran away, and the kids was in the kitchen saying, Mommy, she the devil, she the devil. Because everywhere I went, I took me with me, and I had a terrifying alcohol habit. And if you didn't ride like I ride, you was going to be in bad shape because I was going to roll over you. Anyway, they put me out. Akron is small, but it's huge when you're homeless. And somebody told me go up on Market Street. There was a shelter up there. I went up on Market Street and they was talking about God. And I didn't believe in God. My daddy told me God was white. White people don't like black people, and we don't pray to that God in this house. And y'all got to remember, my daddy was born back in segregation. He was seeing strange fruit hanging from trees. So what he believed was what he believed. Anyway, as time went on, and I went into the shelter. I decided I didn't want to be there. I was going to pray to their God, so I slept outside. And outside in a doorway, that wasn't a door, but it was a doorway. I slept inside, and it was facing East Market Street in Akron, Ohio. And there was a man across the street in a box with his dog on the church lawn, and that's where he lived. And I said to myself, if I get that bad, now I'm already sleeping outside, but if I get that bad, maybe I'll do something about my alcohol habit. And I got this black and white TV. It need a butter knife to change the channel. It's got a hanger on the back of it for good reception. So as long as I got that TV, I can't be alcoholic, right? Huh? I got these bag of rags. Y'all would call them clothes. They were rags to me. So I can't be an alcoholic if I got these things. The next day I went into the Haven. And I started trying to run the facility. And everywhere I go, I take me with me. I was rolling through there. They kept threatening to throw me out. Somebody signed some papers and got me an apartment. I'm going to bring you up to my last drunk. I got in this apartment with this guy who was a preacher in Akron. And I heard the man say, God got a plan for your life. Now, I don't know if he said that, but that's what I heard. And I asked him to take me somewhere and get me some help. I was pretty bad. By the time I got there, if you look down at my feet, you see I had holes in my shoes. I was homeless. I was scared, and I didn't know what to do, and I was tired of living the way I was living. I was tired. And that's why I always tell newcomers, when they say, Lynette, why can't I stay sober? When you're done, you're done. There is no lurking notion. There is no other way I can drink alcohol. I'm an alcoholic. And when I put alcohol on my tongue, I end up in somebody's basement. I end up broke, busted, and disgusted. And the next thing you know, I'm standing out on the corner selling fruit cocktail. And I'm not talking about the stuff in the can. And I know today that my alcoholism starts with a sip of alcohol. And I know that the disease is centered in my mind. It's my thinking, man, that screws me up. And I don't have to have alcohol to have bad thinking. I don't know how to think right. I'm maladjusted to life. The big book tells me I'm in full flight from reality. A guy tied me to the poles. I think he said he loved me. I don't know how to, I'm an outright mental defect. The big book called you crazy, but in a nice way, doesn't it? Something's wrong with me. You know, and I had to get here and get in a seat. I'm so grateful for the old timers. When I got here, they said, sit up front. You a sick puppy and don't move out of your seat. And we'll bring you your coffee. When you go to the bathroom before the meeting started, nobody wants to see your short skirt, Lynette. So when you see a woman coming in the rooms and she dresses like a street girl, don't talk about her. Be about her. Those women came to meetings. They bought some bags one day. They sat next to me up front. And after the meeting, they said, we bought you some things, Lynette, we want you to wear to meetings. The things you're wearing are inappropriate. They bought me some things called blouses. I ain't never heard of such noise, blouses. They bought me some slacks. Who wears slacks? They bought me some scarves. I ain't never wore a scarf in my life. They bought me some underwear. I didn't own none. I'm grateful for those women in Alcoholics Anonymous who grabbed hold to me and set me down. Thank you, Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm appreciative of my seat. I'm grateful for this seat I sit in. And if you in here and you new, don't get out of your seat, newcomer. That seat you sitting in is important. That seat you sitting in, people dying for that seat. People killing for that seat. I know you're saying, why you say that, Lynette? I'm going to tell you why, Amy. I say that because people leave me, go get drunk, end up on the freeway and kill somebody. Now they're on their way to the penitentiary when all they had to do was sit in their seat. I say that because people leave meetings, go get high, OD, end up on ventilators and die when all they had to do was stay in their seat. Even if your butt falls off, pick it up, put it in a wheelbarrow, and get into a meeting. Somebody in the meeting gonna help you sew that booty back on. And if we can't help you sew that booty back on, we'll teach you a new way to sit on that booty. But don't get out of your seat. That seat you sitting in is important. I always tell people money can't buy sobriety. I don't care how rich you is. I don't care if you got a drop top Cadillac in your driveway. I don't care if your house is out in the suburbs and you went to the most fanciest treatment center they had. They fed you filet mignon. They had a golf course out in the back. They got a swimming pool in the basement. They're going to give you a big book and tell you to go to meetings. And you'd have spent $70,000 and all they did was give you a big book and tell you to go to meetings. Because the meetings is where you're going to find out there's people like you. You know how you felt like you was the black sheep of your family? When you come into meetings, you find a whole herd of us. We all felt that way. You're not unique. If you're in this room and you're suffering and you're tired of getting what you've been getting, stay in your seat. I promise you, you're getting ready to meet a stranger. If you don't believe me, write down what you think you want from this program and give it a year, one day at a time. And I promise you, you'll sell yourself short. I had no idea that I could live the way I live today. I had no idea I could open up my refrigerator and have 2 mayonnaise in there, Hellman's and Miracle Whip. There was a time there was nothing in there but a gallon of water, and the water came from the tap. Today, I can go in my refrigerator and I can get some bologna and I got some bread to put it on. Today, I can go in my refrigerator and I can cook a steak if I want one. Today, I can go in my refrigerator and I can cook some chops if I want one. People always say, Lynette, why are you always talking about food when you come in the rooms of Alcoholic Anonymous? Because maybe I went to bed hungry a many's of nights, and I wanted to eat, but my money went to the liquor store. Let me tell you how important it is to get a sponsor, to get a big book, to get a notebook and a pen and a highlighter, and to find a power greater than yourself. It doesn't have to be God. I heard a lady behind the podium saying, if you don't have a higher power, you can borrow mine. I started going home praying to that woman's higher power. If you be real, send me a man. Because in my life, I thought I needed a man. Somebody said in the meeting, may you find him now. I thought they was talking about a man in the meeting. So I went to meetings looking for a man to work the steps. I found me a man in the meeting. We worked some steps, but they wasn't the steps of Alcoholic Anonymous. They're not talking about a man, lady. They're not talking about a woman, men. They're talking about a spiritual connection. And you better find out what that is, because that's the only way you're going to be able to stay here. Your sponsor will not keep you sober. That support group you got, they will not be able to keep you sober. You better be connected, because what happens when people don't answer their phone? What happens when you don't have a connection to the human? You always got a connection to the spirit. And I believe that. Anyway, this woman was talking about her higher power. She told me that if you don't have one, you could borrow mine. I started praying for her higher power to send me a man. Her higher power was taking too long. I went down to the Salvation Army. I got me a man out of there. Dude wouldn't stay sober. I tried to beat him sober. Police came. He went to jail. Because remember, my auntie told me if a man don't beat you, he don't love you. And I want to show my love to them too. So I beat some of them too. Anyway, I went back to her higher power. I said, send me a man with a car and a job. Her higher power was taking too long. I went back down to the Salvation Army. I found me a man in there, y'all. He had a car and a job. Dude wouldn't stay sober. I tried to beat him sober too. Police came, he went to the jail. I thought, thinking maybe I should get my own higher power. I started saying, higher power, if you be real, please send me someone to love. My higher power got a sense of humor. He sent me 4 kids, a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, 2 5-year-old boys, twins, and a 7-year-old. My girlfriend went to the penitentiary and I kept her kids for 5 years. And them kids had taught me what I've been searching for all my life. It was unconditional love. I had no idea it could feel this good. Anyway, as time went on, I tried to figure out, I was still feeling lost and disconnected. I didn't know that they were talking about filling that hole that you're walking around with. They were saying fill it with spiritual principles, Lynette, but nobody told me what they were. So I didn't know what they were talking about. And that man that raped me, my grandmother didn't believe me. By the time they got me to the hospital, I was pretty beat up. And they told my mother she ain't gonna never be able to have kids. We don't know who did this to this baby, but whoever did it, this is horrible. And I remember the day they took me from the hospital straight to a foster home. And I kept saying to myself, what is wrong? What is going on? Why am I here, man? I couldn't figure it out. Even sober, why am I here? My girlfriend got out of the penitentiary. She came and got her kids. I was still lonely. I went back down to the Salvation Army. I found me a husband in there this time, y'all. I got me a husband out there. I married this one. This one was a good one. I married him, 13-year marriage. For 7 years, he was sleeping with my matron of honor. He was sleeping with my best friend. Sleeping with the enemy ain't even the word. You talking about betrayal. I came in the rooms crying. I said, my husband walked off the porch with my best friend, and the sheriff department walked up on the porch and handed me papers. My house is in foreclosure. They told me, we don't care. You better not drink, Lynette. I said, wait a minute. They turned off the lights. When he walked off the porch, he took his money with him. I can't afford this house and this car. They said, we don't care. Light a candle. We'll bring you some candle. You better not drink. I said, wait. They getting ready to come and repo my car. What am I going to do? How am I going to get to me? They said, we don't care. We'll pick you up for meetings. You better not drink. So all I knew to do was go to meetings and cry. And y'all rocked me back to health. Thank you, Alcoholic Anonymous. Y'all cleared that all up for me. So if you in this room and you lost your car, you lost that fancy job, your mom died, your dad died, your kid died, we don't care. You better not drink. You better come to meetings and let us rock you back to health. Thank you, Alcoholic Anonymous. Let me tell y'all something about a home group that is important to go to your home group. Get one and show up. There was a lady named Susie. She was always at her home group. I went to Susie's home group. I said, Susie, how you pay the light bill? She said, bring your light bill down to my home group next Tuesday, baby. And I'll take you downtown and we'll pay your light bill. She was country. I love Susie. And so I came to her home group that next Tuesday. She took me downtown and she showed me how to pay the light bill. She told me to sign the check, date the check, put the amount on the light bill on the check, put the light bill and the check in the envelope, seal it, put a stamp on it and mail it. One step at a time. Isn't that how AA works? Anyway, I said, Susie, well, where do you get the checks from? She said, come to my home group next Tuesday, baby, and I'll take you downtown and we'll open you up a checking account. And I went to her home group, getting me to a meeting. She was brilliant. She got me to a meeting again. I went to a meeting to her home group that next Tuesday. She took me downtown and she showed me how to open up a checking account. I didn't know nothing about checking accounts, savings accounts, credit scores. I didn't know nothing about cashing no checks at the bank. I cashed my check at the liquor store. I didn't even know what a bank was. I was illiterate, walking around with masters. You didn't know because I was good at hiding who I really was. Anyway, we opened me up a check account. Susie taught me how to write checks, sign checks, date checks. And she said, you could buy anything you want with these checks. I looked at her. I said, anything? She said, anything. Yeah, Bonnie, you see where this is going. A week later, a box of checks this thick came in the mailbox. I started writing checks. I went and got me a colored TV with the remote. I bought me some pork chops. I told the butcher, give me the best cut of steak you got. He said it was filet mignon. And he cut me. It was $30 for this little piece of meat. I took it home and I burnt it. It was taste like rubber. I ain't had filet mignon since that day. And I started getting these letters in the mail. And I didn't know what they said because I couldn't read. So I took the letters to Susie's home group. Why? Because Susie was always at her home group. I went to her home group. I said, Susie, I got these letters and I don't know what they say. She said, that's okay, baby. We'll read them after the meeting. After the meeting, she opened the letter. She said, ooh, insufficient funds. Ooh, insufficient funds. Don't write no more checks, baby. Don't write no more checks. Uh-oh. We got to get down to the bank. They talking about prosecuting you. I knew what prostituting was, but I didn't know what prosecuting was. So we get down to the bank. I let Susie go in there because they was going to prosecute me. I didn't want to go in there. So Susie went in there and she went in there and talked to the people. She came back outside. She said, Lynette, these people going to let you make arrangements to pay back this money that you stole from the bank. I said, they're not going to prosecute me? She said, no, baby. So on the way home, Susie said, Lynette, where's your checks from work? I said, they're at home on the table because y'all didn't tell me where to cash them. You told me don't go to the liquor store. She said, that's okay, baby. She never made me feel stupid. She never put me down. She said, that's okay, baby. We'll go get them. And we went and got my checks, and then we deposited them in my account. And then Susie taught me how to balance my checkbook. Isn't that how AA works? Teach you how to balance your life around your recovery. I love this program. And that same woman, Susie, she said, Lynette, if you come to my home group every Tuesday, I'll take you to the library and I'll teach you to read. And she did. She took me to the library every Tuesday, and that woman taught me how to read. And if you're in this room and you can't read, don't be ashamed. There's a Susie in here for you. And if you don't have a Susie, you should be a Susie. That woman loved me unconditionally, and I believe she was put on the earth just for me. And when I learned every lesson that she was here to teach me, she passed away, and I miss her so much. But she gave me the woman that I wanted to be all along. I'm truly grateful for my seat, man. If you in here and you don't believe the miracles that I just told you, that there is a God, I promise you, there's something out there, and you better connect to it. And remember that doctor said she ain't gonna never be able to have kids. He didn't know I was gonna make it to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Somebody left their baby on my porch. She was 3 months old. She's 4 years old. I'm still raising that baby. So all those birthdays I didn't get as a kid, I got to give it to her as the little girl she is. And I wish somebody would have got me, but they didn't. So I gave it all to her. So trust and believe. If you want a baby, if you're looking for something that you think you're missing in life, you stay in your seat. And I promise you, everything you ever dreamed of, and even the things you don't dream of, you will get in this program. If anyone hasn't told you today that they love you, so what? Who cares? Look at all these faces in these squares. Look at all these people. It's obvious that someone loves you. Keep coming back. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you so much.